St. Augustine, Florida, holds the title of the oldest city in the United States. A labyrinth of streets where time seems to have stagnated between coquina walls and the salty scent of the Atlantic. In the heart of this historical setting rises the Casa Monica Hotel, a jewel of Moorish architecture inaugurated in 1888 that, to the casual observer, is merely a monument to Gilded Age luxury. However, beneath the imposing towers and majestic arches lies a history of suffering that predates the building's very foundation. The ground where wealthy tourists walk today was once the epicenter of an old Spanish military hospital, a place where rudimentary medicine and relentless infections sealed the fate of hundreds of souls who never found rest. The founding of the hotel by Franklin W. Smith was not just a feat of engineering, but an involuntary desecration of land saturated with traumatic memories. During the original excavations, workers reported finding bone fragments and metallic objects, dating back to the period when the site served as a makeshift morgue during yellow fever epidemics. This history of mass death created a foundation of negative residual energy, which seems to have been absorbed by the hotel's concrete and pressed shell walls. Many paranormal researchers believe the physical structure of the Casa Monica acts like a giant battery, retaining the final agonizing emotions of those who died in the old military hospital and projecting them into the present. The hotel's architecture, with its long, narrow corridors and intentionally low lighting, contributes to an atmosphere of psychological claustrophobia that affects even the most cynical. Walking through the main atrium, it is common to feel a sudden drop in temperature, a phenomenon science tries to explain as drafts, but which sensitives describe as cold spots where spiritual presence is most dense. The dark wood accents and heavy carpets seem to muffle the sounds of the outside world, creating an acoustic vacuum where inexplicable whispers can be heard with terrifying clarity. It is within this setting of somber opulence that reports of poltergeist activity first began to emerge during the resort's early years of operation. One of the most detailed and disturbing accounts involves room 403, a suite that has become ground zero for supernatural phenomena in the building. Guests who have occupied this room describe a recurring experience, waking up suddenly at 3 o'clock in the morning, the so-called dead hour, with the sensation that someone is sitting on the edge of the bed. Upon trying to move, they find their limbs paralyzed by instinctive fear as they watch shadowed figures move rapidly across the corners of the room. These are not just visions. There are reports of physical objects, such as keys and wallets, being hurled against the walls by invisible hands, leaving impact marks that defy any rational explanation. The story of the woman in white is another fascinating and tragic layer of this narrative, frequently associated with a young woman who stayed at the hotel in the early 20th century. Legend has it that she was waiting for the return of her fiancé, an officer, who never came back from the sea, leading her into a state of profound melancholy that ended in suicide within one of the luxury suites. Today, she is seen gliding through the fourth-floor hallways, passing through locked doors with an ethereal elegance that leaves a trail of antique lavender perfume. The apparition is not aggressive, but she emanates a sadness so deep that many guests report falling into fits of compulsive crying for no apparent reason after crossing paths with her wandering spirit. Hotel employees, especially those working the graveyard shift, have an unwritten code of conduct regarding certain areas of the building that should be avoided. The maintenance department reports that in the basements, where the original foundations of the military hospital are still visible, one can hear the metallic clinking of surgical instruments being cleaned and the murmur of prayers in Latin. On several occasions, electricians were called to repair wiring that was found cleanly cut, as if someone were intentionally trying to sabotage the hotel's modernization to keep the environment in eternal darkness. These workers avoid eye contact with the hallway mirrors, fearing they will see faces that do not belong to this century. The elevator phenomena is perhaps the most public and well-documented event by visitors to the Casa Monica over the last few decades. Without anyone pressing the buttons, the doors repeatedly open on the 4th floor, revealing a silent and empty hallway, even when digital control systems indicate no programmed calls. Some guests have reported that upon entering the elevator alone, they felt the space become cramped, as if they were accompanied by an invisible crowd. The extra weight detected by the equipment's sensors has already caused emergency stops on empty floors, forcing passengers to wait for rescue while feeling icy breaths on their necks in the darkness of the stalled cab. The period when the hotel functioned as a state courthouse following the Great Depression added a new layer of negative energy to the site, focused on trials and sentencing. The room that today serves as an elegant banquet hall was once the place where judges handed down severe sentences, and it is said that the spirit of a wrongfully accused defendant still haunts the area. Reports from lawyers and public officials of that era mention typewriters that operated on their own during the night, drafting sentences on papers that appeared blank the following morning. This administrative phase transformed the Casa Monica into a labyrinth of bureaucracy and despair, elements that seem to have fused with the military hauntings already existing in the structure. The luxurious 1999 renovation, which restored the hotel to its original glory, seems to have acted as a key that unlocked doors that should have remained closed forever. The sound of jackhammers and the removal of layers of old plaster exposed the original 19th century materials, releasing what locals call stone echoes. Since the reopening, the intensity of the phenomena has increased drastically, with guests reporting that room lights turn on and off in sequences that resemble Morse code. Many believe the spirits were offended by the transformation of their resting place into a bustling tourist destination, and they now seek to reassert their presence through increasingly physical manifestations. Technical analysis of photos taken by tourists at the Casa Monica reveals anomalies that puzzle even digital photography and image manipulation experts. In many images of the lobby, perfectly circular orbs of light can be seen following people, along with persistent pareidolia in the windows of unoccupied rooms. In one famous guest photograph, a disfigured face appears reflected in a piece of silverware at breakfast, even though no one was in that position when the shot was taken. This visual evidence fuels local folklore and annually attracts hundreds of supernatural enthusiasts who seek to record their own proof that the hotel is a portal to another dimension. Children staying at the Casa Monica seem to be more susceptible to the energies of the place, often reporting conversations with imaginary friends they describe as wounded soldiers. There is a recurring story of a child who got lost in the hallways and was found hours later, claiming to have been cared for by a nurse with a strange hat who took her to a safe room. When the parents showed the child photos of 18th century medical uniforms, she promptly identified the attire of the woman who helped her. This type of interaction suggests that not all entities in the hotel are malevolent, but that some are still tied to their duty of caring for the sick in the old military hospital. The main ballroom is frequently the stage for sounds of period music that seem to emanate from the walls themselves, even when no events are taking place. Night watchmen report that when passing through the ballroom's double doors, they smell the scent of cigar smoke and expensive perfumes that haven't been used for over 100 years. On full moon nights, some claim to have seen shadowed figures waltzing through the cracks in the doors, only to find the room plunged into absolute darkness and silence upon entering. This ghost party is interpreted as a residual impression of the hotel's golden age, when the American elite gathered in St. Augustine to escape the harsh northern winter. The hotel kitchen is also not immune to mysteries, with chefs reporting that heavy utensils move on their own during dinner preparation. Plates that were organized in secure stacks are found shattered on the floor with no one nearby, and the flames of industrial stoves sometimes extinguish simultaneously without a drop in gas pressure. These incidents usually occur when the staff is under high stress, leading some to believe that the hotel's entities feed off the negative emotional energy of the living to gain strength and interact with the physical world. The work environment at the Casa Monica requires nerves of steel and a deep respect for the invisible. A detail rarely explored in tourist guides is the existence of underground tunnels that reportedly connect the hotel to other historic parts of the city, such as the Castillo de San Marcos. These tunnels, supposedly used for transporting supplies and bodies during military sieges, are said to be sealed today, but many believe they are the arteries through which spiritual energy flows. Sounds of heavy footsteps running below ground level are heard by guests on the first floor, suggesting that something or someone is still traversing these forgotten paths. The idea that the hotel rests upon a network of hidden catacombs adds an extra layer of dread to any guest stay. The psychological impact of spending a night at the Casa Monica is described by many as a sensation of temporal disorientation, where past and present blur in a disturbing way. It is common for visitors to report vivid dreams of naval battles, makeshift hospitals, and courtroom scenes, waking up exhausted as if they had lived through those experiences personally. Doctors and psychologists suggest that the charged architecture and local lore influence the subconscious, but for those who have felt the icy touch of an invisible hand on their shoulder, no scientific explanation is enough to erase the trauma. The hotel is not just a place to sleep. It is a test of endurance for the human psyche. Famous paranormal investigators who visited the site with high-end equipment, such as thermal cameras and vibration sensors, have confirmed recurring anomalies in the ventilation system. In certain suites, the temperature drops drastically in a matter of seconds, reaching near freezing levels before returning to normal without technical explanation. These thermal fluctuations coincide with EVP, electronic voice phenomenon, recordings, where male and female voices can be heard whispering the names of people who have long since passed away. The Casa Monica seems to be a radio tuned to a frequency of eternal pain, picking up echoes of a St. Augustine that refuses to be forgotten by modernity. The hotel management maintains a discreet stance on supernatural events, preferring to focus on the luxury experience and the building's historical importance to Florida. However, behind the scenes, incident logs are filled with room change requests and reports of strange events that are not disclosed to the public to avoid affecting tourism. This policy of silence only increases the mysticism surrounding the place, turning the Casa Monica into a dark tourism destination where fear is an implicit ingredient in the reservation. For many, the chance to see the inexplicable is worth the risk of a sleepless night and the dread of encountering something from the 18th century. As night falls and the sea mist envelops the hotel towers, the Casa Monica transforms completely, ceasing to be a resort and becoming a fortress of shadows. Modern LED lights seem weak against the dense darkness that inhabits the corners of the rooms, and the sound of the wind against the windows sounds like the laments of forgotten soldiers. Each guest who enters through those doors contributes their own energy to the building's spiritual ecosystem, becoming part of a continuous story of hauntings. The hotel is a living reminder that no matter how much society advances, the scars of the past remain etched in stone and in the souls of places. Concluding a stay at the Casa Monica is a relief for many, who cross the exit doors feeling they have left behind an invisible weight that accompanied them throughout their visit. The Florida sunshine seems brighter outside, away from the charged atmosphere and the gazes that seem to emanate from the building's upper windows. However, the stories carried away by guests ensure that the legend of the military hospital hotel remains alive, feeding the public imagination and reinforcing St. Augustine's reputation as a place where the dead still walk among the living. The Casa Monica remains there, imposing and mysterious, waiting for the next brave visitor who will dare to challenge the past. The true story of the Casa Monica Hotel is a mosaic of historical facts and urban legends that intertwine inseparably, creating a narrative that has fascinated and terrified generations. Whether the hotel is truly haunted or just a product of psychological suggestion, the fact remains that its presence on the St. Augustine skyline is an invitation to reflect on what survives after we depart. The coquina walls hold secrets that may never be fully revealed, but which continue to pulse to the rhythm of the heartbeats of those bold enough to listen to the silence of the fourth floor. The mystery remains, and every night, a new page of this somber chronicle is written by the spirits who refuse to abandon their hospital. If you felt the heavy atmosphere of this story and want to discover more mysteries hidden in historical places, don't waste time and subscribe to our channel right now. Leave a like to support our investigative work. And most importantly, leave a comment telling us if you already knew this story or if you would have the courage to stay at the Casa Monica after everything you heard today. We'll see you in the next mystery.